Are you tired of doing planks for days and just not getting any results? Well, today we're going to fix that, because by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly everything you need to do to build strong and defined abs no matter where you're at in your fitness journey. First, I need to address a massive misconception, which is abs are made in the kitchen. Sadly, abs are not made in the kitchen, because if you don't have the actual ab muscles there, then if you diet down, you're never going to reveal anything because there's nothing there to reveal. However, once you've built that foundation of muscle, then your diet is going to play a role, and that is where we combine the two. Later, I'm going to take you through the ultimate ab workout that's actually backed by science, so that you know the exercises that you're doing are going to be worth your while. And spoiler, you can do them anywhere. First, we actually need to take a quick look at the actual anatomy of our abs, because if we don't know which muscles we're actually trying to work, then it's going to be a lot harder for us to get the best results. First, we have the rectus abdominis, and this is what people usually refer to as the six-pack, and it's the muscle running vertically along the front of your abdomen. It flexes the spine and brings your rib cage closer to your pelvis and helps stabilize your trunk. Next, we've got the obliques, and we can separate these into two parts. First, we've got the external obliques, and these are found on the side of the rectus abdominis. These muscles allow for rotation and lateral flexion of the spine, as well as helping to compress the abdomen. The internal obliques are found underneath the external obliques, and these muscles support rotation and side bending, working with the external obliques for trunk stability. Next is the transverse abdominis, and this is the deep muscle that wraps around the abdomen and sort of acts like a corset, so it compresses the abdomen and provides stability to the lower back and core. Together, these muscles support movement, stability, and posture, and play a really key role in helping protect your spine. Okay, so now our anatomy lesson is out of the way. You've probably heard people talk about your core and your abs sort of interchangeably, but there is a real distinction that needs to be made between the two. The core is essentially the central part of your body, and it's made up of over 20 muscles in your hips, your lower back, your stomach, and your pelvis. The core muscles work together to stabilize your spine, your hips, and your shoulders and keep you in an upright position. Your abs, on the other hand, are actually found on the front of your abdomen, and they're also called the rectus abdominis. The main function of your abs is to flex your spine, so in movements like where you're bending forwards in a crunch or a sit-up. So the approaches you take to train your core versus your abs are going to be fundamentally different. Now, some coaches will tell you that to build defined abs, all you need to do are compound exercises, so things like squats and deadlifts, and really direct ab work isn't necessary. And then other coaches will completely disagree and say you should avoid compound exercises altogether because they're going to make your waist look blocky. Instead, you should focus purely on exercises that aim to isolate the abs, like crunches. Well, it turns out they're both wrong, because squats and deadlifts don't actually activate your abs, which should really be pretty obvious just if you look at the biomechanics. As the lower part of your spine, also called the lumbar spine, shouldn't be flexing or rotating at all in squats or deadlifts. But if you still don't believe me, these two studies showed that back squats aren't effective at activating the rectus abdominis or the obliques, and they showed less than half the activation when compared to regular basic sit-ups. On top of that, the idea that squats make your waist look blocky isn't completely accurate, because squats don't activate your oblique muscles much either. So if you were wanting to achieve a smaller waist, then instead of avoiding compound exercises, which could actually be really beneficial in helping you to build the ratios of your physique to create the illusion of a smaller waist, instead you should really just reduce the exercises you're currently doing that target your obliques. For a while it was thought that all ab exercises were created equal, and they'd target your rectus abdominis pretty evenly. But research has now disproved this, and it's shown especially well in this study where they compared the EMG results of 12 different ab exercises, and they found that it's possible to target the upper or lower portions of your abs more or less depending on which exercise you choose. Before we go through the ultimate ab workout based on the results from the scientific literature, there's 4 most common mistakes that I see so often that will really hold you back if your goal is getting visible abs. First, it's really crazy to think that when it comes to training abs, we treat them completely differently to how we would train any other muscle group. I mean, just think about it. If you wanted to grow your glutes, then you wouldn't just do 50 air squats every day for 30 days and expect to see any difference. You need to include progressive overload, and it's the exact same when it comes to your ab training. A lot of the ab exercises that you'll see online are really hard to incorporate progressive overload with. So that's why finding the exercises that you can use weights so you can increase the weight over time is going to be really helpful if you're wanting to build defined abs. This is also where if you have access to machines, it can come in really handy because it makes it super easy for you to increase the resistance over time. It is true that another form of progressive overload is increasing the reps you do, but at some point you're just going to be wasting your time. That brings me on to the next mistake, which is super high rep training. A lot of people think that training your abs with really high reps works best, but there's honestly not much evidence at all to support it. The abs are roughly an even split of 55% type 1 fibers and 45% type 2 fibers, which means that we can work them just like any other muscle with a mixture of high rep ranges and low rep ranges. This is what's going to most likely help us to optimize growth. I would recommend using a more moderate rep range, say from like 6 to 12 reps for exercises that you can load easily, and then a higher rep range, maybe from 15 to 30 reps for those exercises that aren't so easy to use progressive overload with. So things like purely bodyweight exercises or more explosive movements. Because they have a relatively smaller amount of muscle mass, I personally find that the abs can be trained more frequently compared to other muscle groups. And we can aim to optimize development by bringing down the intensity and the volume to around 2 different exercises per session for 3 to 4 sets, 3 to 6 times per week. But it's super important to remember that all of the frequency and volume recommendations are going to be super individual and specific to each person because everybody's different and all of our bodies are going to respond differently to even to the same amount of training. The next most common mistake is usually seen most obviously in crunches and planks, and that is your form. Honestly, for any exercise you do, whether it's for your abs, your glutes, your back, your biceps, form is just so important, and well, not everyone, but a lot of people seem to skip out on it. Some general tips when it comes to the form of your ab exercises is you really want to think about engaging your abs. So instead of think about doing a crunch, a lot of people tend to put their hands behind their neck and then just move their neck. Instead of doing that, you want to really focus on initiating the movement from your abs, and you will feel a distinct difference. Another cue that can help you learn to engage your abs more is almost breathe out as you're crunching forwards. Another common misconception actually is that planks are the best exercise for targeting your abs. This 2014 paper showed that traditional planks aren't actually the best at activating your ab muscles at all. And that's assuming you're using the proper form and your planks don't look like this. I'm not even going to explain it because I know you know what's wrong here. But if you modify the plank slightly into what they call a long lever posterior pelvic tilt plank, then you actually start to get a lot more ab activation. This will be a harder variation for the beginner though, so if you're just starting out, then there's no harm in starting with a regular plank and then just working your way up. Perfecting your form will make the biggest difference in the results you see from your ab workouts. The next most common mistake is one I personally, and I know a lot of other people out there, find most annoying. And that is consistency. Just like any other muscle group, your abs will take consistent training over a period of time to actually develop and show through. But you also need to be consistent with your diet. Yes, genetics will play a role to some extent, but if your body fat's too high, then even if you have a solid six-pack, you might not be able to see it until you lower your overall body fat percentage first. Sadly, a lot of people go about doing this in a way that's unsustainable, so they end up just regaining back all the weight they lost afterwards. But if you're at that stage right now, I actually have a whole other video that I've made for you, so I will link it above. I'm going to take you through 4 different exercises that will target different areas of your abs backed by the science that we've already covered in the rest of this video. And the great thing is you can do variations of these exercises anywhere. Personally, I usually like to choose 2 of these exercises and then do 3 or 4 sets of them at the end of some of my workouts. The first exercise is a crunch with your arms extended. I personally love this exercise because it's really great for working your upper abs, and your arms are in a position where it makes it easier for you to use the correct form because you're not as tempted to sort of lead the movement with your neck, which is the risk of just doing a traditional crunch. This exercise is also really good for helping you to learn how to engage your abs properly because you really need that ab engagement to initiate the whole movement. The next exercise targets the obliques, and that is Russian twists. You can do this body weight to start off with, and then as you get more confident, you can use a weight to start implementing progressive overload. And you'll often see people doing Russian twists with their feet in the air. I personally like to keep my feet on the ground because it makes it more stable, and that allows me to focus more on my obliques rather than stopping myself wobbling around. I'm currently not training obliques at all, so no Russian twist, no side plank, no nothing, and there's honestly nothing wrong with that. And your obliques will still get worked in other exercises to some extent, so it's not like not doing Russian twists will just make them wither away completely. The next exercise is really great for targeting your lower abs, and the first time I tried this, I was not great, but it's hanging leg raises. You can also do a leg raise variation at home by doing lying leg raises, and in general, to target your lower abs, you want to think about any exercise that involves bringing your legs towards your chest. There are two things that I find quite limiting with hanging leg raises, and the first one is grip strength, because when you're hanging there for a while, it can get quite tiring and your grip can fatigue before your abs do. And the other one, when you're raising your legs upward, that involves a lot of hip flexor work, so your hip flexors can fatigue before your abs as well. So both of those aren't really ideal, and I guess you could use lifting straps or chalk to help with your grip strength and do mobility work to help with your hip flexors. But other than that, you can do lying leg raises like we talked about a second ago, or if grip strength is the main issue, some gyms have a setup where you can rest your elbows in a way that allows you to eliminate grip strength completely, and that can be a really good option. The next exercise is probably one of my favorites, and I think I've had it in most of my follow along ab workouts. If you've not checked out that playlist and you prefer to do ab workouts that are sort of follow along, then I've got a whole playlist for you, so I will link that. But I always called them knee-ins. Apparently they're called double leg thrusts, which is new to me, but these target your whole abs pretty well, as shown by the EMG data in this study. You can also do weighted knee-ins if you want, which means you can do progressive overload with it. There are a whole load of other ab exercises out there, and I'm definitely not saying that these four are the only ones you can use. And honestly, eventually I might even find other ab exercises that are better than these. So if you have another ab exercise that you really love and you've seen good results with, drop it in the comments because I am genuinely really interested. This is actually the second episode in our new muscle growth series, which I'm super excited about, so make sure you're subscribed because if you're not, you're gonna miss out, and I don't want that for you. Honestly, I appreciate you guys so much. Make sure you drop your favorite ab exercise in the comments because I respond to all my comments, and if I don't have any comments then I get lonely. But if you are someone who prefers follow along ab workouts, I made a whole playlist quite a while ago now, but they're still really good. They will leave your abs absolutely burning, trust me. I had to do all of them, but you can check them out in this video next. See you there!